Have you ever hired someone and still felt just as overwhelmed the week after they started? Like you brought them on, handed them some tasks, and somehow you are still in everything. And you are sitting there thinking, what am I even paying this person for? I have been there. And after 13 years of working with executives and founders, I can tell you that most of the time, the hire is not the problem. The problem was that the founder had no idea what they're spending their time on before they hired. So they handed off the wrong things and got zero relief. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I am Karen Cisnero, and today we're going to talk about the one thing that you need to do before your next hire so that you feel the difference when the person starts. Founders who are drowning usually knows that they need support. The part that trips them up is figuring out who to bring in first. And without a clear answer to that, they either hire whoever feels more urgent or they copy what someone else did and hope for the best. That guessing is what we're gonna cut out today. So here's where I wanna start. And I say this because I did it myself for a long time. And if you're new to the channel, you gotta hear this one out. For years in my business, I was wearing every hat. CEO, CMO, CFO, COO, all that was me. And I kept telling myself, okay, this is just what it looks like in the beginning. You do everything yourself at the start, and eventually it sorts itself out. What was happening was that I was making reactive hires. Something got overwhelming. I brought someone in to help with that specific thing, got a little relief there, and stayed just as stuck everywhere else. The reason was simple. I never sat down and looked at what I was personally doing every day and how long each thing was taking me. So I had no real way to know what to hand off first. I was hiring based on pressure and not information. And yet, the bottleneck just moved around. The pattern does not break until you know what you're spending your time on. The starting point is time audits, and it is as straightforward as it sounds. Alex Hormozi has talked about doing this with a spreadsheet broken into 15-minute increments. You track what you're doing in every slot for a full week. Every meeting, every email, every task you pick up, all of it. I know it sounds tedious, and honestly, it's a little tedious, but it is the only way to see clearly what is really consuming your hours. I work with a CEO who once trialed our services. A few weeks in, he felt like he was creating work for his assistant rather than getting relief from her. He didn't feel like he was truly leveraging the support. When we dug into it, we found out that he had never tracked his time before bringing her on. He handed over tasks that felt like easy to describe, not tasks that were eating his week. So she was busy and he was still just as overwhelmed. The audit is what changes that. When you have a full week mapped out in front of you, two things become obvious. The tasks that require your judgment as the founder, and the tasks that have nothing to do with leading the business but is taking up significant time anyway. Things like scheduling, managing your inbox, follow ups, research, coordination. The second group is where your next hire comes from. And there is usually one function in that group that is taking more of your time than anywhere else. In my case, when I finally did this, I saw that hiring and training were consuming a huge chunk of my week. So my first deliberate hire was not a salesperson or a marketer. It was someone who could take that function off my plate because that is what the data showed me. Not what felt urgent, but what was truly costing me the most time. So here's the second shift, and this one is really important. Don't just look at what's overwhelming you this week, but think about where you want your business to be in 3 years. What functions need to exist for that version of your business to run well? Write all of it down, even if right now you're sitting in 4 of those roles yourself, because that future picture does 2 things. Number 1, it shows your team that there's room to grow, that there are roles they can move into, that this business has a direction and it's going somewhere. Number 2, it gives you your hiring sequence. It tells you exactly which gap needs to be filled first, second, third, so that every hire you make is moving you toward the business you're building. This completely changed how I thought about growth. Instead of hiring when I was already in over my head, I started looking at what I was spending my time on and asking, Which of these functions is the biggest bottleneck right now? That is the next hire. Now, here's where I want to go a little deeper because conversations about hiring stop at the obvious roles like marketing, sales, and operations. And those functions matter, absolutely. But there is one role I see completely missing or treated like an afterthought. And it is the one that, when filled correctly, makes every other role on your team more effective. That is the executive assistant role. And I do not mean who just answer emails or waits to be told what to do. I mean a true executive assistant, someone who is proactively managing your time, your inbox, your calendar, your follow ups, your priorities, so that you can show up in a role that only you can fill, so that you can focus on strategic and income generating activities. And so you can stop spending your best hours on things that someone else could be handling for you. And here's why this matters in the context of the time audit. When founders sit down and track their week in 15-minute increments, the tasks that show up most on that list are scheduling, inbox management, follow-ups, research, and coordination. Every single one of those things are something an EA can truly own. So before you figure out your next hire, here's what I want you to do first. Audit your time. Track everything you're doing in 15-minute increments. Write it all down for one full week. You can use a spreadsheet or a notepad. And yes, I know it sounds tedious, but it is super helpful because if you don't know what's eating up your time, you will not know what to delegate effectively, right? Genuinely need your expertise, your judgment, and tasks that have nothing to do with your role as the founder, like scheduling, inbox management, follow ups, research, coordination, things that are eating your valuable hours every single day. Those are the things you hand over. And when you hand them over to the right person, you get your time back and you get your focus back and you get to lead. So when I finally got this right in my own business, when I stopped hiring on instinct, when I started auditing my time, and when I hired based on what that data showed me, something shifted that I honestly did not expect. I stopped being the answer every single question. And I realized I created that dynamic myself, not on purpose, because I have never given my team a framework for when to decide on their own and when to come to me. Every decision, big or small, was looping back to me because nothing in the structure told anyone else what they were allowed to own. So here's the framework I now use with my own team. Number one, use your best judgment first. If the task is low risk and is reversible, go ahead and decide. No need to ask me or loop me in. Number two, we shift from questions to recommendations. So instead of asking me what to do, tell me what you think we should do and why. And only come to me if you truly need my approval, because this builds confidence and it keeps things moving fast, right? Number three, I only need to be pulled in on high risk items. Anything that impacts cost, scope, or long-term direction. That shift from the founder as the answer to everything, as the strategic layer, it only became possible because I finally had clarity on what I was spending my time on and hired to protect that time. When the right support is in place, the whole thing moves differently. And you stop being the one holding together everything by yourself all the time. So let me leave you with 3 things to do this week. I mean this week, not someday. Number one, audit your time. Track everything you're doing in 15-minute increment for one full week. Write it all down. Then ask yourself, what on this list should not require the founder? Number two, identify the role you're playing the most. Look at your audits and find the function that is eating most of your time. That is almost always your next hire. Not the role that sounds more impressive, but the one that is keeping you stuck. Number three, project it forward. What does your business look like in 3 years for it to run without you being in everything? Map that out. Use it as your hiring sequence, so that every person you bring on is a deliberate move, not a reaction to pressure. Because the goal is not to do more. The goal is to be in the right roles, the ones that only you can fill, and to hire deliberately so that everything else has a clear owner. I spent years guessing who to hire next, and I made almost every mistake I just described. But I corrected each one by doing the work up front, auditing my time, getting honest about what I was doing, and hiring based on that, one deliberate decision at a time. I now have a business with clients who have stayed for almost a decade, and a team that keeps moving because of the structure we've built together. If this was helpful, subscribe, because every week I share what I have learned from 13 years of building high-performing remote support teams. And if you want to talk through your specific situation, the link to work with me is in the description. I will see you in the next one.